So welcome to my channel. As I've been kept everything a bit secret so far, as I find it somehow difficult to produce myself out, such as in YouTube videos that have become much popular in between 10 and 15 years so far. I do hold a lot of projects from my young age that they're completely wrecked because all of my HDDs and old hard disk drives are destroyed through removal. My father destroyed most of them, or some that I had kept so far are with my mother's inside my mother's house somewhere hidden, because I somehow still keep the way of hiding things that I found the most value in, because that way, if I make, let's say I make I consider it a treasure, I'll deep mount it somewhere so well that no one else is supposed to find it. Just that's how my family kept it very hard finding things that when I was very young, I hid things automatically because I wish not people to find my things. I'm somewhat shy, yes, I admit that. Very easy to admit now, just because everything's so public and popular. How you say it's public or popular. I live with Mila now, my girlfriend Mila. We've been together for 1.5 years so far. We're quite alike. Yeah, we're about the same height. Also, she's she's more than my head shorter than me. I keep me when I get not I can't say it's shy. I mix too many things inside my head, so I make it possibly too difficult to pronounce the most easy things. That is the biggest difficult. Well, you're just basically saying difficult for me. It's difficult making things, mostly because of my medication. It's difficult to start projects and end, most likely ending projects that I'm most pleased now. I've begun making projects, but the projects that actually finish. If you start a project, usually projects they last for a certain time and they don't end anywhere. Job assignments, is that about, well, that's about a term for that. When it comes to English, that I've known from 3 to 4 years old. I suppose I've been watching commercials ever since I was a small boy in the house. We used to live in Turku in Hirvensalo. In Finnish, Hirvensalo. Salo means, there's another town in Finland, it's next to Turku. Salo means, it's hard to describe even for a Finnish person. Salo is like the small valley. Yeah, I used to work for Nokia. The main office was in Salo. I used to construct buildings, mobile phones. I actually made applications. I got promoted every 2 weeks or 1 week and a half, which was quite fascinating. The salary was a bit high, but then again, paying the debt taxes after the income, that was a big loss. But because Finland has a huge, it used to have a huge tax rate. Then again, in 2021, I don't know what the tax range is, because people keep buying stuff. And when it comes to smoking tobacco, you're not allowed to smoke tobacco inside houses. And then another problem is smoking tobacco in public is some sort of a crime nowadays. It creates more arrogance for me and problems, because the results, every reaction people have, those is, hey, again, well, deal with it. Yes, it's just, well, my reactions to other people might be quite amusing. I usually just mesmerize people, but when I face difficulties such as somebody pinpointing or naming me in public, which I'm quite used to, I have some big difficulties in the certain timing of the complete phases and phasing, complete in time limit, because I hold so much damage in my brain. Well, 2 times suicide attempt that in 2010 I was pronounced dead for 3 days. Then waking up in hospital, beating up every nurse and security guard, left me being strapped and dragged to a what's the thing. It's not because I talk like this for I had 2-3 beer, but it's because I'm getting more open with words now. So being taken to a, I don't know what's the word, negotiation room with 2-3 doctors that state you have this mental difficulty, you're being aggressive all the time, we need to move you to a mental healthcare unit, which was one of the worst, not for me but from them 2010 and for on after that. It was one of the worst. The city found out, all the nursing hospital care found out, because I used to be a nurse before 2010 and I used to work for 3-4 years only, but I still remember all this lifting and everything, taking care of grannies and old pa's. This was one of the best professions I had. I still, but nowadays you cannot just state when you look at that I could, but then they will look at my files and say you're a mental habitant, so you cannot do this work anymore. Well, I have to be fine with it. It's just something that you have to manage with. But then again, talking about my past, which was quite brutal. Well, when I was, I'm trying to find those in my still some memory. I wish when the brain starts to work for itself again, the brain starts to collect those lost evidence probably for yourself. For me, it was for myself. I found some things that I recall. There were some were useful, some were hard to deal. But then again, I'll have to link this because one of the biggest problems I have right now is diabetes. This is type 1 diabetes. I hold 10.8. I don't know if the camera shows it's supposed to be stable, but I usually wake up with high blood glucose in general. I don't find it that much to explain about myself. But usually what people have, or I have with other people, are problems managing themselves, or I don't require, as it is, people to explain themselves in every occasion, but I find it difficult to get to know new people, get to know new people. I used to. That's a big problem for me, because when you try to retain every ability you have. I was born in the 23rd, 22nd of July, and by Finnish sign that makes me Leo and crab, so I'm quite mixed with that. I find it funny. It's that thing is too difficult to explain. And what I've done recently, I've reached out people from other countries. They're not thinking that as a must, but as you most people living, for example, in I speak French too. Somehow I used to study French in high school. Because Finnish is becoming so common, less of Sweden. Everyone wish to speak Finnish, especially in the Facebook groups. Everyone's asking to teach me Finnish, but again, that comes in the rise of China, Spanish, USA most likely. But what I don't like mostly is that USA still wish to dominate just after China, the biggest globes. As I don't usually tend to speak in hate ways, but that's pretty much everything I kept in myself to be making this video.